Chapter 4. World after Second World War. Part C. Globalization. Part 1. Background. The Industrial Revolution brought about extensive growth in trade and industry, giving rise to neo-imperialism by the European nations. The complex issues of the neo-imperialism in turn led to the two world wars. The decolonization process was initiated by the UNO in the later half of the 20th century, and by the end of the 20th century, European colonies in Asia and Africa were decolonized. But the greed for trade made the developed capitalist nations think of devising new ways of trade and commerce. As a result, to facilitate economic cooperation among the world's largest industrial nations, the G7 came into being in 1975. The G7 is a group with France, West Germany, Italy, Japan, England, America, and Canada, the 7 wealthiest and developed nations in the world, as the members. The G7 was later expanded to form G8 with the inclusion of Russia in 1998. These nations started an uncontrolled trade, and the process of globalization was initiated. Globalization is a phenomenon that is bringing the world closer through the exchange of goods, information, knowledge, and culture. Meaning and definition. Globalization is the system of interaction among countries of the world in order to develop the global economy. It involves the creation of conducive conditions for import and export. It is a circumstance when the whole world becomes a market, where raw materials can be purchased from any nation, and the finished goods can be sold to any nation. Dr. Deepak Nair defined globalization as an expansion of financial matters beyond the geographical borders of the nations. According to Shravan Kumar Singh, globalization means to create a single market of all nations and to create a smooth circulation of resources and capital of the world. Malcolm Adisesha, development economist and educator, defines globalization as a situation when the national economy of a country changes with a change in the world economy. Thus, globalization refers to the creation of world economy. Chapter 4. World after Second World War. Part C. Globalization. Part 2. Nature. Although the origin of globalization is placed in the modern times, some scholars trace the origin of globalization long before the European age of discovery and voyages to America. The pace of globalization became rapid in the late 19th century, but began to break down with the First World War. It again gained momentum after the Second World War. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund were established in 1944. They made foreign currency easily available to all the nations. Liberalization took place. Restrictions on foreign trade were abolished, making every nation part of the global market. After 1990, restrictions on financial matters were relaxed and the rules were made easier. For successful implementation of liberalization, privatization of various sectors like banking, transport, electricity took place. Though globalization is associated with economy, it has a huge impact on the social, political, educational, and cultural fields too. In India, the process of liberalization took place in 1991 and globalization began. India is experiencing globalization through the following processes. 1. Open economy. An open economy refers to an economic system in which trade with any country across the globe is possible. Regulations restricting entry in an open market are relaxed. Thus, multinational companies have gained entry in India, improving the quality of life of the Indians. 2. New competition. With the implementation of advanced technology, the rate of production of goods has increased. Sale of goods in the global market has resulted in the growth of open competition. Although there has been an increase in opportunity of trade, the problem of unemployment in the developed nations is on the rise too. As a result, financial inequality is growing. 3. Investment opportunities. Liberalization from restrictions on investments in foreign countries and globalization has provided opportunities to nations and traders to invest in any nation. Thus, flow of capital has increased, making investment in any company beneficial. 4. Development of cities. New technologies have added to the development of cities. So, globalization is a boon for a developing nation like India. India has experienced an economic growth rate of 8%. Although villages have not shown much technological development as the cities, there has been a remarkable progress in agriculture. Once an importer of food grains, India now exports food grains to 21 countries. 5. Use of information technology. Development of information technology boosts globalization. Internet has reduced geographical distances, turning the world into a global village. Chapter 4. World after Second World War. Part C. Globalization. Part 3. Advantages of globalization. The advantages and disadvantages of globalization have been heavily scrutinized and debated in recent years. The positive effects of globalization on human life are as follows. 1. Expansion in open trade among nations. 2. More opportunities to invest on a vast scale in foreign countries. 3. Keeping in touch with the happenings around the globe made possible by media. 4. Exchange of knowledge, information, and culture at an international level. 5. Increase in environmental awareness. 6. Improvement in standard of living. 7. Increase in the potential of production of goods and services through the use of technology. 8. Opportunity for the customers to select and choose from a wide range of quality goods. 9. Transforming the world into a better market due to increase in mutual understanding among nations. 10. Ending the irregularities in agricultural production. Disadvantages of globalization. Critics of globalization say that it weakens national sovereignty. The disadvantages of globalization are: 1. Benefits acquired by few industrialists, while common man faces inflation. 2. Increase in unemployment. 3. Reduction in national income due to abolition of import tax. 4. indiscriminate use of national resources and exploitation of cheap labor of developing nations by multinational companies. 5. Loss incurred by local small-scale industries as a result of uncontrolled competition. 6. Economic inequality between the rich and the poor nations in the world becoming wider. 7. Degeneration of basic values in the consumerist race to win the benefits of globalization. Political impact of globalization. Spread of globalization across the world must be backed by strong and influential political systems and good economic conditions. Economic system is associated with the political system. So, the study of political impact on globalization is important. Chapter 4. World after Second World War. Part C. Globalization. Part 4. Influence of communism, socialism reduced. The Second World War ended dictatorship in Germany and Italy. Soviet Russia and America emerged as superpowers. Soviet Russia called for international communist revolution, while America advocated capitalism. Stalin's death and the internal conflicts of communism and socialism resulted in the fall of the Russian communist power. Thus, global communism collapsed. America became the only superpower. It adopted the policy of open economy, leading to the expansion of international trade and foreign investment. Influence of democratic system. Democracy replaced communism and socialism. Democracy is a form of governance by the people and for the people, where the liberty and development of an individual is given more importance. So, the democracies are more open to trade, which is largely supportive to globalization. Thus, globalization and democracy advance together. Clutches of globalization. It was not possible for the developed nations to market their finished products in a controlled economy. To achieve this purpose, they advocated globalization. The developing and the underdeveloped nations were on the verge of economic slavery. They welcomed globalization to overcome the burden of huge debts and lift themselves out of poverty. Though globalization has brought benefits to these countries, it has led them to the clutches of the obstructive policies of the developed countries, and freedom from these seems difficult. Uncontrolled competition has resulted in widening the gap between the rich and the poor countries. Political corruption. In this age of globalization, moral values and ethics are eroding. Corruption in countries across the globe has increased. Political and economic liberalization has led to a race among political leaders to retain political power with themselves to gain financial benefit. Entry of ruthless businessmen into politics to gain financial profit through political power has resulted in criminalization of politics. Selfish interests and corrupt practices have replaced public welfare. Though the term globalization is used in reference to economic matters, it affects almost every aspect of human life and society. It has transformed the world into a multicultural global village where ideas and practices can be freely exchanged and appreciated. Globalization offers the potential to enrich our lives. We should take advantage of the benefits of globalization and shield ourselves from its negative effects, thus helping our nation to progress.